Hi, this is Chris at Moose Driving. This is Amy's driving test, which she took in February 2024, where she passed with Moose Driving. First time she's taken a driving test, passed with just 2 faults. It was an amazing drive. Amy came to us a couple of months before her driving test, having taken lessons and learnt well, but really taken a knock with confidence with some previous instructors that she'd had. We gave her a safe place and a safe space. And that's really the ethos in our car at all times. But it was key to Amy's learning as well that she could make mistakes, she could say the wrong things, do the wrong things, not be judged in a negative way, be talked through and helped through to make better decisions and to understand those mistakes. And she was able to keep that ethos together on the driving test because it's our safe place, the car, and we invited the examiner into our safe place. So we were in control. It's ours. We were in charge. So we were going to show them what we can do. And that was the confidence we went in with. That's not to say there weren't nerves. Of course there were nerves. The morning of the test, the night before the test, we had a good talk. We had a good journey to the test centre. And then I was privileged to sit in the back as we took this driving test. You see, it's been quite rainy, and it will get a bit more rainy throughout the test. So you always need to drive as the conditions are, looking out for those puddles on the left-hand side. And at this moment, she's following the examiner's instructions, which she'll be doing for quite some time. Later on, she'll be switching over to sat-nav. And it's left at this first roundabout. Nice early slowdown, looking into the roundabout. She can see the lorry's about to go, so now she's planning to go. She knows she's going left. She can also plan the exit. Nice and smoothly away. In our new road, in the distance, we can see some blue lights. There's a fire engine coming towards us. Amy just slows a little bit, just to calm herself and prepping for whatever might happen. And then the fire engine turns off its lights, so it's no longer in a hurry. And we get on with it. Tick, tick. Tick, tick is an incredibly powerful thing that we can do in the cars. It's a mechanism which helps us to get rid of what's just happened, reset, refocus, move on. It's a technique we use throughout our learning process, which we invented at Moose Driving, and it has helped so many drivers focus when they're driving and in life as well, to really understand what's happening and keep the focus in the moment. And we're keeping a good speed down this road. It's lovely and wide. It's a little bit bumpy in places, but it's lovely and wide. The puddles are only near the edge. And in a moment we'll be asked to pull up on the left hand side whenever it's safe to. There's a lovely curb coming up on the left, no double yellow lines after that corner doubles. Nice soft stop. And the examiner says thank you. Drive on when you're ready, please. And at this point Amy did put it into park and handbrake on. She forgot to put it into the drive, so she'd done all the checks and she then realised and then put it into drive, restarted her checks, indicated, and away she went. Tick tick. You can't change what's just happened. Tick tick. The van's coming through, we move a little bit left, we've got enough room, we're fine. There's no undue hesitation there. And it's important to remember hesitation can be due and undue. Due when it should be there, like with that car emerging perhaps from the left hand side. Undue when it is not needed. We've got keep clear written on the ground, and we do. And we'll be going left at these traffic lights. Keeping good observations whilst we're sat here, because whilst we're here, other cars, bikes, motorbikes, scooters, they're all quicker than us. They could all come past us. We need to know about that and be ready for the moment those lights change. So keeping a good active view and a view down the new road, because you can see quite well down that new road. Now, as we pull away, quick check of the side mirrors, because it's been a while since we looked at the left, so we need to make sure there's nobody coming down the inside. It's quite a wide road here, so let's position ourselves on the left. It is actually 2 lanes. It's very, very difficult to see that there, but it is 2 lanes. And therefore, positioning ourselves on the left makes sure that we're in a good place. The lights change as we approach, so off of the brake pedal and back onto the accelerator, checking the mirrors, checking the right hand mirror because we've got a merge coming up from the right. As I mentioned earlier, we're in the electric Kia. That's a fully electric car, not a hybrid, and therefore we can use the ULEV lane on the left hand side. So it does say bus lane down there, but the blue signs say this is for buses, bikes and ULEVs, which is why we're using it. And indeed, if we didn't use it, that would be wrong. To us, in this car, we have 2 plain lanes, so we should be on the left-hand lane, unless we're overtaking or turning right. And the examiner asks her the second safety question. It's the show me question. When it's safe to, if you'd show me how to switch on the dipped headlights, please. And she chooses a nice safe moment when there's nobody next to us. She knows what's happening in the road ahead to switch on the dipped headlights. So on the driving test, there are 2 safety questions. One of those is a show me, which is done on the move. It is important, of course, to be able to do the thing that they're asking, but it's important to do that in a safe place. If you were to switch on your dipped headlights when you're approaching a road on the left and there's a car waiting to come out, that might look like you're flashing your lights. So probably not a good idea to do that then. So think about when you should be doing that, and the examiner does say when it's safe to. And at the roundabout, it's ahead. So we're already in a good lane for that. Starting to slow down to take in the roundabout, to see the van emerging into the roundabout on the right, but then we've got a van blocking us. We need to be able to see past that van. So we let the van go. It's clear. Away we go. And again, we have a ULEV lane, so we're straight into the ULEV lane now. There's no need to indicate this time because we can access it from the end. Previously, we needed to indicate because we crossed the big thick white line, the solid white line. And always keeping a good eye on our mirrors, what's around us, and planning ahead. Bus lane, of course, can have buses in, which stop frequently. And today, we've got a lorry that's a little bit in our lane. So Amy needs to check the mirrors, come out a little. She put an indicator on as well, just to let the lorry driver know, and then back to the left and ahead at the roundabout. So nice checks to see if it's clear. Keeps a good shape, indicates off to the left. And 40 miles an hour is what we're allowed in this road, or of course staying a good distance from the vehicle ahead. In dry weather, a good distance is about 2 seconds, and if it's wet, the highway code says 4 seconds. This is damp, it's not raining at the moment, ground is damp, so a little bit over 2 would be nice. And then we're told to be in the left-hand lane, and then follow that lane. And Amy's given us a nice little distance behind that lorry, so she can still see ahead, and she knows the road is clear ahead of that lorry. This helps us plan. Good eye on the mirrors. Know what's around us, because you wouldn't want to be next to that lorry if you could help it. On a corner like this one, next to a car is fine, but not a lorry. You place yourself where you want to place. And then we're told at the traffic lights we're turning left. So we're already in a good lane for that. And Amy puts her left indicator on now, then realises the road, so she takes it off and puts it back on again. Now the fact that she put it on and then took it off pretty quickly afterwards when she realises the road, yes, we'd like you to have seen that road first and not put the indicator on. But by taking it off, you've shown us that you understand it was wrong, you've admitted your mistake, and most importantly, you've taken it off because to leave it on would be confusing. Rather than having an attitude of, well, I've put it on now, I may as well leave it. Nobody else knows outside of this car where we're planning to go unless they can see some indicators, so it was worth taking it off. And she did that twice on this driving test, where she put it on too soon because there was a road and took it off again. No faults for that. There's a nice flow in the traffic. We don't stop too much, which is nice. Keeps us active, keeps us going, checking the mirrors, knowing we can get across the other side of this box junction because all the traffic's flowing. Then we can see that the right lane's going to merge, so definitely looking in that right mirrors, and we can see roadwork signs. Roadworks is one of the most variable things there is. As soon as you see the roadwork sign, check your mirrors and be prepared for almost anything ahead. Now there, it was some roadworks on the right, which didn't really affect us a great deal. If there'd been a big lorry coming the other way, it might have needed to come into our side, but it was nice and easy. Sometimes roadworks require you to stop at some traffic lights, even a contraflow. So they can be really, really variable. So check your mirrors, leave a little distance to the car ahead or the vehicle ahead, and then know what to do by looking at what's happening with the signs, the cones, and what they're trying to tell you. Amber light, of course, is stop if it's safe to. We were pretty close to the lights, so no need. It wouldn't have been safe to put our brakes on then. It was much safer to carry on through. And as you can see, we're turning right into this new road, and we can see the 20 sign already on that right hand side, and it's written on the ground as well. So 20 is what we keep to as a maximum. And keeping a good distance to the car ahead as well. As soon as that car puts an indicator on, you know it's going to slow. Not being tempted to close the gap up because we are at 20, so we can't go any quicker. Now on the driving test and on lessons, we always say follow the road ahead unless we give directions. And the examiner hasn't given any directions here, so therefore we must be following the road ahead. And there's often a crossroads where they won't give instructions because they want you to see the give way signs. They want you to recognise it is a crossroads and recognise you need to give way. Don't forget, of course, to check that road ahead. It's not just the right and the left, it's right ahead, left ahead, right, off we go. And then we're asked to do a pull up on the left behind the white vehicle. Don't worry about the road markings or any driveways, and finish about 1 car length away. This is what's going to be called an angled start. So she's asked just to creep forward and stop there, thank you. Drive on when you're ready. So the examiner wants to see her now pull away from the curb to go down the road when her vision is impaired by that vehicle. She needs to therefore do good checks, indicate, pull out away from that vehicle to go down the road, and don't be near it. There's a van oncoming. I think perhaps we could have slowed a little bit sooner here, but we got it done. We were fine. They were not in trouble. We were not in trouble, and we flowed. There's lots of corners like this where we can't see very well. Just taking care, looking as far as you possibly can to plan. Just like now, there's a car in the distance coming towards us, so we're looking for a plan of where we might leapfrog to, a safe place. Can we get past this blue one? Yes. Can we get through the next gaps? No, that car's already there. So let's wait. Then we're asked to take the next road on the left. And there's parked vehicles on the left, and it's difficult to see by, so nice and slow and indicate right, and taking care down here in case somebody is coming the opposite way. Still can't see well to the left. There's obviously a building site there. People, vans could be coming out of there. And then we're asked to pull up on the left. So past that road that's on the right and before the bus stop, pull up on the left there. Amy chose whereabouts. The examiner wasn't going to tell her. She needs to decide where is a safe place. And then she's asked to do the reverse park in the road against that car that's in front of us. So reverse park in the road, parallel park as most people call it, where we pull up next to that vehicle, reverse back towards the curb, finishing reasonably close, reasonably parallel, and finishing within 2 car lengths. Those are the 3 things you need to achieve, and it all needs to be done safely. So therefore observations need to be good too. So we've got a car coming the other way, and of course we're blocking the road now, so we've got to carry on. And manoeuvres were not Amy's strong point, and she knows that. We worked on them. We worked on how to correct them. We worked on it's okay if we make mistakes. And Amy was trying to finish this manoeuvre too close to that car. So therefore the angle she put on to the left was a lot. The angle to the right was a lot. And we've hit the curb. Tick, tick. Move forward. Let's try again. And she moves it all the way forward back to the very start again. Didn't need to go back to the start, but it doesn't matter if you do. And let's get on with it again. But the steer left is too soon. So again, we're going to be close to that car. She's aware of where that car is. But because we put ourselves close to it, we're also close to the curb still. And we get a bit of a touch of the curb again. Breathe. And the examiner will help you to look after yourself. The examiner told her to breathe. She asked if she can move it forward. Yes, whatever you wish to do, whatever you would normally do. So again, her observations were great. Amy's strong point was about observations and taking things in. Her observations needed to be good here, and that's why we were happy to take a fault for moving forwards, because we knew the observations would be good. There's a danger if you need to do this manoeuvre and correct it 2 or 3 times, your observations have to be on point, because if they're not, you can pick up another fault for not looking, and that could well be a serious fault if you're pulling out and there's a car coming. Now she's fine. Now she's got this reasonably straight. It's reasonably close to the curb, and it's very close to that car in front. Breathe. Tick, tick. And then drive on when you're ready, please. We'd already prepared for the manoeuvre not being the best part of the drive. And therefore, we were happy and fine with that. Making sure we know what's around us, know what's happening ahead, being ready to move when it's safe to. Because we're hidden behind this car a little, then an indicator when we are ready to go is essential. And now breathe. Tick, tick. I let all of my students know, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, because you shouldn't be embarrassed. When I passed my driving test, I couldn't parallel park. Fortunately, I didn't get parallel park on my driving test, and it wasn't for many, many years later that I actually learnt how to do it. All of my students get the full story, but I couldn't parallel park, and even when I became a driving instructor, when I took my lessons for my driving test to be a driving instructor, my instructor asked me to do a parallel park, and he was shocked at how bad it was. But I then, on the way home from work every night, 20 to 30 parallel parks, and within a week, I was so much better. A lot of pedestrians there, but at the other side of the junction, we've been asked to turn right. Amy's still recovering a little from the parallel park. She's breathing well. She's trying to tick tick. She's now asked to pull up on the left, and don't worry about drop curbs on this occasion. So there's no problem stopping there because the examiner has told her she can. And now the sat-nav is moving across. So we're now doing the independent drive. Independent drive is either sat-nav or it's road signs. And today it was sat-nav. And it was made clear, as it always is, don't follow the speed limits which are on the sat-nav. Use your own judgment and your own knowledge of the highway code. And we're turning right at the end here and then left at the end of the next road. And here we've got a stop sign. If there's enough room, you can squeeze down, and if not, don't. Stop sign, stop line, it says stop on the ground. You must stop. We stop. Then we go. So there was a definite, absolute stop. Not an incredibly slow, a stop, because that's the law. If you don't understand why it's a stop junction there, you probably missed something. It can be very difficult to see to the right hand side. So that's why it's a stop junction. And at any stop junction, if you don't understand why, look a little extra and make sure you definitely stop. Before the driving test, we talked about chatting and talking with the examiner. And Amy says she didn't want to, which is absolutely fine. You don't have to. The examiner, of course, doesn't know you, doesn't know what you want. And on occasion, they'll ask you a few questions, just sort of, what would you normally be doing today then? And then if you say what you do for a living or in education, they'll ask you perhaps a couple of extra questions about that, just to chat. I think the examiner here was trying to chat because he knew that she was still a little breathing heavily to try and get over that parallel park. And Amy did decide to chat a little bit, and it helped. It helped to bring down the nerves. But you're always in control of that conversation, and the examiner is not there for a conversation. They're there for good driving. So if you don't want to chat, politely tell them. If they're asking, what would you normally do today then? Say to them, actually, I don't want to talk, if that's okay. Just keep it polite. Just say you don't want to. It's fine. And the sat-nav has asked us to keep right. So there's a split of the road here, so we're keeping to the right-hand side of the split. And then left is our default lane, of course, to go ahead at the traffic lights. And we get the red lights. Now, red lights are our friend. Red lights give us time to breathe. Because these have only just changed to red, when we come to a stop and keep our foot on that brake pedal, we can close our eyes for a moment. Breathe. Open our eyes, taking what's in the mirrors, taking what's ahead, taking the traffic lights. Remember to tick tick. Refocus. And prepare what's around us again. So looking at the attitude of any cars in our mirrors coming up on our right hand side. Did they arrive really quickly? In which case maybe they want to get past and are going to be quite quick when they leave here. Then they've got indicators on, which are going to be good for us because they're indicating away and going to clear the road. Keep an eye on the road opposite where we're going into to make sure it's nice and clear. And of course the lights, so we know when to go. Check the side mirrors as we go. Checking the right side mirror because of those cars and knowing what we've got next to us. Up to speed, that's 30, hasn't changed. We haven't been through any road signs, so it must still be 30. Car ahead was slowing and indicating, but we got lots of room, so we didn't really need to slow there. And the sat-nav was telling us the speed limit is 40 down here, which it was a couple of years ago, and for many, many years before that. And the examiner did give us that clue right at the very beginning, as well as when he brought the sat-nav across and put it on the dashboard. Remember, don't follow what the signs say on the sat-nav for speed. Follow your own knowledge of the highway code and what you can see around you. It said that twice. He gave us a clue. And we're going right at these traffic lights and right at the roundabout. Hence, keeping in the right lane. We may as well do this lane change to the right lane now rather than when we're around the corner. Amy keeps a great shape around here. She knows there's a van on the left hand side, so we needed to keep that shape. That's the benefit of doing the mirrors as you go through the traffic lights. And we're already in a good lane for going right at the next roundabout, so keeping in this lane, knowing what's around us. Keeping a good distance to the cars ahead so that we can plan our own route. Knowing what's on the left, knowing what's on the right, knowing where the curb is. Now the next curb, get over to the curb, check the right mirror, accelerate away, check the centre mirror. Know what the speed limit is. It's 40, so up to 40 if that's appropriate. We're following the sat-nav as I mentioned, so we're going ahead at this roundabout, is what the sat-nav says. When you're coming towards the roundabout, try and position yourself where you can see nicely to the right hand side, so we can see behind that white car nicely. But now we've had to be alongside it, so we'll wait until we can see again. And now we're happy. Lovely shape in that roundabout, keeping the shape really nicely over on the left hand side, keeping on the left here. And just like before, we have a ULEV lane, so we're straight into the end of the ULEV lane here. Keep an eye on that right mirror, because somebody in that right lane might have needed to go around that silver van, or might have wanted to, and therefore they would need to change lanes. So we need to know what was there in case anybody was going to try and get in front of us. And it will be ahead at the next roundabout as well. Again, starting to slow nice and early, gives us a look into the roundabout and to the right hand side. There's no one in that roundabout, and the right hand side is empty as well. Check of the right mirror so we know what's there because there's a lane. Up to speed and check in the centre mirror. And again, we have a ULEV lane that we can go straight into the end of. Now that car on the right hand lane isn't allowed in here. They're not a ULEV. They're not a full electric or hydrogen car. And that's why they've stayed out there. They've done nothing wrong. And we've done nothing wrong by being here. Because they're not allowed to use this lane, if we were quicker than them, we are allowed to overtake on the left hand side. Because to them this road has one lane they can use, to us it has two. So we are allowed to overtake on this lane, just like a bus is allowed to overtake a car in the other lane. That doesn't mean it's safer. It's still as dangerous, overtaking on the left. And the reason overtaking on the left-hand side is more dangerous than the right is because you as a driver are on the right-hand side. And you can't see to the left as well. Next time you're in the driver's seat, look at your blind spot on the right-hand side. Look at your blind spot on the left-hand side. Notice how the passenger seat, the pillar behind the passenger and the one at the back of the car, they're all blocking your vision, so you can't see to the left as well. That's the reason why we try not to overtake on the left. That's why the standard overtaking place is on the right. And Amy has seen that 30 and brought it down nicely. And the sat-nav has said that in a few hundred yards we'll be turning right. And that was too much for where these traffic lights are. It must be not these lights, it must be further ahead. So she's ready to change lanes. And we're about to get a driving fault. We had one earlier for moving forward on the parallel park. This is our second fault, only our second, which is here. We go a little bit left to take this right. We didn't change lanes over to the left. It wasn't full on change lane. It's very narrow at those traffic lights, so we needed to make sure we kept nice and tight and tidy in our lane. But we didn't. We were right up against the white line on the left. There was nobody there. She knew there was nobody there. She'd looked in that mirror. But even so, we shouldn't have been over that far. Then we've got a cyclist ahead. So Amy needs to plan whether we overtake, when we overtake, where we overtake. Can't quite see around the corner. There are some vehicles coming, but it's free after the last one. And we can do an overtake. There we go. A little bit of speed, indicate right, and away we go. And then coming the opposite way is another moose driving learner car with Michelle in the automatic. And we plan to go past the lorry. Nice and wide road, kept the speed up well there. We're at the speed limit going down here. It's a lovely wide road and it could be tempting to go quicker than speed limit. So you need to make sure you check your speed as you go down here. Don't be tempted and accidentally go too high. And down this road we've got these odd 30 signs. They're large signs like the gateway signs for a change of speed limit, but it isn't a change. It is just 30 all the way down. We're going right at this roundabout. Car on the opposite side, but it's far enough away that we can go in the roundabout as well. Look left, indicate left. Checking the mirrors, and then up to speed. And there have been a lot of problems with speed from lorry drivers down this road, hence making those signs really, really big, so no excuse for them. But as I mentioned, they're not a change of speed on this occasion. It's quite rare to get that. And we're almost back at the test centre, but no celebrating yet. You've still got work to do. This is still your test. Next road on the right. And the sat-nav says that you will then have reached your destination. And the examiner takes over the instructions from now on, which of course there aren't many here because we're almost back at the test centre. Still a real road. Cars, vans, lorries could be coming out of these side roads, coming out of these businesses. We're taking the very last road on the left. And when you enter, make sure you check that it's nice and clear. Go really nice and slow. If anyone is coming out, they have priority and you need to wait at the give way, but it's clear. So out we go. Through the middle of the gates because they're a little bit narrow. so you don't have to stick to the left. And because we'd already done the manoeuvre out on the driving test, that parallel park we did earlier, we're asked to just pull forwards into any bay. This is not a manoeuvre. As long as it's safe, it doesn't matter about the white lines. And then once we've stopped and the power is off, then it's over. And Amy passed with 2 faults. One for the moving forward on the parallel park, one for the being a little bit left on that right turn that we mentioned earlier. She did an amazing drive, and she's been a wonderful customer. It's been an absolute pleasure to have her as a customer. Her driving has been good from day one. Her observations were absolutely brilliant. What we need to conquer was the nerves and her confidence with driving. She's proved to herself, she's proved to the DVSA, the officials, that she has what it takes to be a good driver. So when she gets her own car and she drives for the first time in her own car, she knows she'll be fine. This is Chris, ADI, with Moose Driving. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found it useful. Please like and subscribe for many, many more.